What is up, everybody? It is me, Anthony, and I am back to talk about more A Murder at the End of the World. And I know I was MIA with the last episode, episode 4, but when I was getting ready to edit that episode recap for you guys, the file was somehow corrupted, so I don't know what happened with that. Hopefully, this time, if you're watching this, it's not corrupted. But a lot of stuff happened in the 4th episode, and a lot of stuff happened in this episode. So as always, let's get into it, and I'm going to give you my recap first, then we're going to talk about my review as a whole for the episode, and then we're going to get into theories time. I don't know why I'm still doing this, but it's stuck, so we're just going to go with it. So without further ado, let's get into episode 5, Crypt. The episode begins right where we left off as Darby finds out that Zoomer is Bill's kid. And she finds this out because they share the same Achoo syndrome, the show's words, not mine. And after this revelation, Darby demands that she speaks with Andy and is taken to go see him in his secret hideaway below ground. Darby tells Andy that she knows that Zoomer is Bill's kid and she believes this is why Andy killed Bill. Andy says that he has already known that Zoomer wasn't his child because he can't have any kids of his own, and that he hasn't even told his wife Lee about his condition. Bill says that Darby and him should work together to solve the case, and the two start to dig through surveillance footage to see if there's anything suspicious. After looking through the footage, Andy and Darby find out that David contacted Bill before he died, but there is no record of what the two of them said. Darby and Andy start to hold interviews with some of the guests. They start with David and find out that he met with Oliver but refuses to say more about what they did that night. Next to be interviewed is Oliver, and he confesses that him and David were together that night before Bill's death. But Oliver does say that when he met with David, he seemed a bit flustered at the moment. Darby notices that Oliver's shoes seem to be slightly worn and asks if Oliver can walk. Oliver says yes, but not for very long. Andy and Darby interview Lou May next, and Darby asks if she has any kind of hacking skills. Lou May confesses that she indeed hacked the firewall after Rohan's death and tried to contact her team so that they can get her out. Andy then gets a call from a reporter asking about the death of Rohan, and Andy explodes in anger and screams that he can trust nobody. Darby looks around and finds Lee and Zoomer upstairs sleeping. Lee wakes up and invites Darby in to talk, and Darby spills the beans and says that she knows that Zoomer is Bill's kid and that Andy can't have kids of his own. Shocked by this information, Lee goes into the bathroom to gather herself. Darby starts to look through Lee's things and finds a black wig and a fake passport. Darby goes back to her room and calls David to ask him why he called Bill that night. David hangs up the phone, but Darby tries to call him again, but David doesn't answer. This sends Darby into a spiral as she starts to numb her pain with drugs and alcohol, as she reminisces about her and Bill's relationship in the past. Some time passes and Tomas knocks at Darby's door asking if she wants any snacks. Darby picks some items and tells Thomas to leave them at the door. Suddenly, Darby is attacked by the killer, and the killer tells her that they don't want to have to kill anyone anymore, and that Darby needs to stop because whatever she does, it won't bring back Bill. After being attacked, Darby goes to visit Sean in her room, and she sees that she is fighting an infection and is in bad shape. Darby tells Sean that she was attacked, and Sean tells her that she can't do this alone and that she needs to find the people that she can trust. Darby goes to get Sean some water, but before Darby can give her the glass, Sean dies. Darby goes outside and sees that Zeba and Lou May are huddled next to a campfire and says that she doesn't think that this is a hotel, but maybe some kind of end-of-world bunker that Andy will sell to rich people when the time comes. The group gets bigger as Martin and Oliver join, and the group start to remember the dead. Still not being able to accept Bill's death, Darby goes back to her room and she sees that her desk lamp starts to flicker in Morse code. The code says to meet at poolside. Once there, Darby calls out but no one answers. Darby then decides to go into the hot tub to get warm, and that was your first mistake, but someone then closes the pool lid, trapping Darby inside. And that is episode 5, The Crypt, and I gotta say, this is the longest episode that we have had so far. It's like an hour and 16 minutes. There's a lot of information to unpack here, a lot of stuff happening. Darby still being a little bit not a little bit smart with certain decisions that she is doing, but overall I think that this episode was really entertaining, and just like every episode that we get, my theory of who the killer is gets scrapped and destroyed, and a new theory appears. I did like the interaction between Andy and Darby in this episode, with Darby confronting Andy and saying like, hey, you know, I know that Zoomer's not your kid. This is your motive, why you killed Bill. And I kind of find it weird that Darby kind of thought that it was so easy and that's so simple that Andy killed Bill because of that simple reason. You know, it kind of seems like it goes against her character a little bit, but then again, as the episode goes by, you can kind of tell that, you know, they're showing that Darby is going through a lot. She's really not handling Bill's death very, very well. And the flashback scenes help support that theory and support that maybe, you know, she's not at the top of her game because of Bill's death. But even with that, in this episode, Darby does a lot of dumb things, you know, questionable decisions that she makes, like taking a quick dip in the hot tub when a mysterious caller called you through Morse code, hacking your lamp in your room, and you just decide to take a dip. Good time. And if you've been watching this channel for a while and you know how I feel about the flashbacks, I'm not really a big fan of them. I feel like when they showed us the first flashbacks in the first episode, they already showed us what was going to happen. Yes, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we can kind of put together. I mean, Bill's at this resort, or was at this resort. He obviously survives the gunshot or the attempted killing that they showed us in the first episode with that flashback. So this whole flashback from the future and then go back into the past and then try to catch up to the part that we already saw, I don't really like, but hopefully I'm crossing my fingers that we're slowing down, you know, we're getting to the end of these flashbacks. And it looks like we are, because they're going to finally catch up to what we already saw in the first episode. Now it's time for everybody's favorite part, the theories. What do I think that is happening in this episode? What are my thoughts on who the killer might be? And the first thing I want to bring attention to is Oliver's shoes. You know, I never thought I would be talking about Oliver or his shoes. But Darby did notice that their tread on his shoes were a little worn, maybe indicating that he can walk. And you know, his response was kind of like, yeah, you know, I can walk a little bit, but not for very far. That got me a little suspicious of Oliver. I was already suspicious of the guy. They didn't really show him that much in the show as of now, and now we're getting a little bit more information with him. You know, he's messing with David. Maybe he was trying to gather some information. Maybe he was trying to keep an eye on David. I think there's a little bit more to Oliver than meets the eye. So we gotta keep an eye on his shoes there. Also, Lu Mei confessed to hacking or corrupting the firewall after Rohan's death. And I've seen a lot of theories online saying like, oh, you know, since she hacked the firewall, that may be the cause of why Sean's helmet wasn't working. And you know, when Andy went in there and he was trying to hack into the firewall and he couldn't do it because it was like somebody was hacking or it was corrupted. But there's some theories out there saying that Lu Mei was the reason why that Sean couldn't get the helmet off, and thus ultimately kind of causing her death. I know she didn't directly cause her death, but maybe Lu Mei was attempting to kill her, something like that. I'm still kind of on the fence with Lu Mei. That there's points where I'm like, you know, I don't think she has anything to do with it. And then there's points where I'm like, maybe she did she do it? But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think that Lu Mei is possibly the killer or one of the killers? We might have multiple in our mess. You know how these shows go. And then we have like the biggest reveal of this episode, and that is Lee is maybe leaving Andy. You know, she's gonna try her best alias impersonation, where she's gonna try different wigs on and attempt to look differently. I don't know. It's interesting. I saw some theories online that, you know, it says that it's an Argentinian passport and that David is from Argentina, so maybe they're working together. I think that might be a little bit of a stretch, but with this show, hey, who knows? Lee, man, she is a creepy person. She is very, very out there, and I don't trust her still. I think this is all part of her master plan. She's trying to do something. She's trying to escape with Zoomer. I think she's a great actress, you know, not just the person that portrays Lee in the show, but just Lee as a character herself. She's a good actress. I think she already knew that Bill was the father. She's just too smart for that. I don't know. She's playing this like kind of innocent person kind of, you know, role. I'm not buying it. But let me know what you think about Lee in the comments down below. Do you think that she is part of this nefarious plot to kill everybody, or do you think that she has nothing to do with it? And the last thing that I want to leave you guys with is a question. And who do you think is the killer? You know, we have a lot of people possibly taken out of the equation here. There was that scene in the episode where Darby and Andy are pretty much narrowing it down to who could possibly be the killers, and they were kind of like leaning more towards David, and then they talked to David, and then they found out he was talking to Bill, so maybe not him. But then you have Oliver being weird with his boots. Maybe he's running. Maybe the dude can run. And then for me personally, Martin. We haven't really interacted with this character that much in this series so far. He's been here and there randomly, but we really haven't had that much discussion with him. There's, you know, Darby's talked to him a couple times. The rest of the group has talked to him a couple times. There was that weird like scene in episode, I think it was 2 or 3, where Zeba and Martin were kind of like holding hands and like looking like they were a little bit closer than it seemed like they knew. I don't know if they known each other before or something like that. It's kind of weird, I don't know, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, guys, thank you so much for your support. We have officially reached 2,000 subscribers, and I can't wait to go beyond that. So again, thank you so much for your support, for the new people, for the old people, for the what's in the middle of new and old. The average people. That sounds bad, I'm sorry about that, but thank you. But as always, guys, don't forget to hit the like button if you did enjoy this video, and if you did not, hit the dislike button. Either one helps the channel because it shows YouTube that people either really hate this or they really like this. So either way, it helps a lot. But as always, guys, you know what to do. Keep on watching.